Let's keep going. What does the number 4 in transformation stand for, if it stands for anything? I'm glad you asked because I did not realize that I did not explain that. I use the number 4 in the word transformation when I'm doing transformation TV and transformation radio. And the reason why is, excuse me, sorry about that. The reason why is because my ministry and my business, everything that I do is built on or are built on 4 pillars. Those 4 pillars are my four goals or objectives or benchmarks, whatever you want to call them. That's what my ministry, my business, the radio, the TV, all of it is built off of those 4 principles. And those 4 principles are what I desire to do every time I open my mouth to speak, or every time someone reads something that I post or read something that I've written, or whatever it is when I'm sitting down one-on-one doing counseling. The first pillar is to educate. I believe that when we educate individuals, it begins to stir something up inside of them, and it begins to speak to the value that's in them that they have yet to connect with. So we aim to educate, okay? Then we aim to empower. I believe that when we educate, we are also empowering you. But empowerment means that now I'm not just providing the tools to you. I'm giving you the tools so that you can now exercise them tools for yourself and then begin to teach the tools yourself. All right? So we want to educate. We want to empower you. Then we want to activate. Now, there's a spiritual side to this, and there's a natural side of this. We want to activate the gifts, talents, and abilities that are lodged deep inside of you, that are connected to your purpose, in order for you to break out and be who you've been created to be. That creative genius, that creative monster that's inside of you, and I'm using monster in a positive connotation, that's inside of you, that's ready just to break free and roar and be who you are. We want to activate that inside of you, and that's activated through education and empowerment. All right? And then the last one, release. We want to release you into your God-given purpose. So when you leave from an encounter with us, we want to make sure that we've educated you, empowered you, and activated you so that when you are released to do greater than you were before you encountered us. So that's why the number 4 is implemented inside of transformation, because we believe that those 4 pillars are important in the transformative process of your life. All right? I get excited talking about that, guys, because I believe that sometimes some of us have been trained and conditioned, and some people didn't do it on purpose. Some of us, it's our receptors as well that have caused us to beat ourselves up, believe that there is no greatness inside of us, believe that which we watch on an everyday basis, or those we see on TV or now see on the internet, that we believe are successful, we believe we never will be able to reach those levels or even those dimensions of success. But I encourage you to redefine success in your own life. I look at success as setting a goal and accomplishing it. If you set a goal and follow through with it, now to some people that may not be a big deal, but for me that's still a big deal sometimes with me. That if I set a goal, if I follow through with that goal, I have become successful. And I want you to learn to celebrate. In my book, halfway through the book, I encourage everybody that reads it and gets to the halfway mark to celebrate. And I said to some of you, this might not be a big deal that you read half of the book, but others will catch on to understand it took me a lot to get to where I am today. So I encourage you, set small goals, some small short-term goals. Always set your long-term as well, but set you some short-terms that's going to get you to your long-terms so that you can celebrate before you even get to your long-terms. Because sometimes the problem is that we are not celebrating enough. We're just sitting, beating ourselves up because we haven't gotten to the place that we desire to get to. So that's my encouragement to you right now. My encouragement to you now is to set some small goals so that you can get to where you need to get to. And if you woke up with a greater mindset than you had yesterday, man, you already accomplished the goal. All right? Here we go. Are you a fan of Game of Thrones? I am not a fan of Game of Thrones. However, I see everybody talking about it so much on the internet, it makes me sometimes want to go and check it out, but I've never wanted to check it out to the degree that I actually went and checked it out. So, no, I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones. All right, here we go. How did you discover your purpose? I love being asked that question. I love being asked that question. That question probably sparked something in me more than any of the other questions, besides the love and basketball question. Again, I'm probably going to watch it as soon as I get off. But how did I discover my purpose? I would say my purpose discovered me. My purpose discovered me. And what I mean by that is that I believe, now I'm 39 and I look back all the way back to elementary school. And I tell this in a video, too. I want you to go check out my YouTube page. You can just go to YouTube and type in Clifton Pettyjohn. And in one of the videos, I talk about my journey to purpose. And now looking back, reflecting back on it, I remember being in elementary school, and I was a part of an after-school program. And two teachers made an impact on my life. Mrs. Oliver, this was at Georgetown Elementary, and Mr. Neal. He did not work at Georgetown Elementary. He is the vice principal there now. However, he worked at, I think it was Frankfort Elementary at the time, but he came and did the after-school program. And they made such an impact in my life. He also was my youth leader at my the church that I grew up, Booker Street Church of God. But they made such a lasting impact on me in second grade that I knew what I wanted to be in my life. Now, I did not know that I would take a non-conventional journey to it, but I knew in second grade I wanted to be a teacher. There were two things I said I wanted to be when I was a kid, a preacher and a teacher. And it ended up being both of them. But I talk about my journey. I don't have time to really talk about my journey right now because, believe it or not, we only have about 15 minutes left. But maybe we'll do a show where I'll talk to you about it. But where I say my purpose found me, it found me in second grade. It found me as a young man who was different. I've always been different, guys. I really have. But I was struggling academically. And from struggling academically, I remember taking spelling tests where I would pass a spelling test after being in the after-school program. And I took it to one of them, and I remember she kissed me on the cheek and left that lipstick on me. But I remember the impact that it made on my life, and I said, I want to do that. I remember Mr. Neal, as I said, he was a part of the program. And I remember even with the church how he used to take us to football games and basketball games. But I remember he even taught me how to write my name before I even started school. I remember the impact he made on my life, and I said, I want to make an impact on other people's lives like that. So I feel like my purpose found me way back then. Now, growing up, I still felt purposeless because I didn't see how that all tied into the bigger picture. And then I had some self-esteem issues or selfless esteem issues because I had no self-esteem.